Hey guys, Tbull here. Today we're checking out the new legendary tier battleship, French battleship Bourgogne. Here's Dunkirk. That's an Azure Lane Commander, Generation 1. So we actually have the bonus heals and accuracy. Pretty strong commander. Northern Waters Domination Mode game. The other perk of that Azure Lane Dunkirk, slot 2, we can switch the shells. If all the barrels are loaded, I can switch from AP or AP to HE or HE to AP, depending on what's already loaded, in about 1 second. So, very powerful commander. If you like the French battleships and that commander is available, you could consider looking at it. It's one of the better ones in the game. Moving into A here, going to use the excellent mobility of the ship. Very fast. I think it's the fastest at the tier. Good rudder shift. I got the prop mod. Still got one of the better rudder shifts. Good turn radius. I think it's second at the best. So overall, very good mobility on this ship. We're going to be trying to get behind A here, protect ourselves, see if we can pressure the base. We do have 32 millimeter plating on this. We can angle against most things if they're hitting the hull, excluding Musashi and Yamato. All right, so what's the downside of the Bourgogne, or what makes the Bourgogne unique? All right, well, it has the 380 millimeter cannons. Now, the Republic, the tier 8 French battleship, very familiar playstyle to this one. They both feel similar. That ship has 431 millimeter cannons. This is the 380. We cannot overmatch 27 millimeter plating, which is a very common plating, or anything thicker than that. So if people are angling well, we'll skip off their armor if we hit that armor surface. Or if they're partially angling, then we got a chance for a ricochet. So we got to be using our map awareness, and we got to be getting into good positions. This is not a backline Betty battleship where you just put the controller down for the first 5 minutes, watch the battle, lob a couple shells at some battleships down yonder. That's not going to work. We need to be getting into flanking positions, using the mobility to do so, and then be looking for the broadsides. We're going to see a lot of damage in this game. Okay, there's a lot of damage in this game, and it's going to be because we're actively looking around for different shots. Okay, so that's going to be the key to this one. But you got to keep that in mind. 380 millimeters. Like when I was testing guns, I think it was the second game. The game we're watching is the first game I played in the ship out of about 5 so far. But the second game, I had a Des Moines at about 45-degree angles, skipped all my shells off the side, and I was like, okay, that's curious. And then I checked the calibers and the armor, and yeah, it made sense. So we got to be picking our shots. Broadside targets, that's the key. Now, Montana, this is one of the curiouser shots, as I'm telling you about that. He's angling fully here, and we do get a Citadel shot there. So that one's curious to me. I don't know exactly which shell hit the Citadel, but I don't think it was anything that hit the hull, because those would have been ricochet shots. Here, we're firing at a Minotaur in the smoke. Now, if we miss, we'll consider a warning shot. If we hit, well, then it's going to be a hell of a well-aimed shot. Okay, so that was a warning shot. Just to let him know we're thinking about him. All right. Didn't want to ruin his game yet for him. Backing up, though. The Minotaur will chew us to shreds. One of the nastiest ships in the game. And even though we've warned him to stop shooting at us, he continues. Now we demonstrated on his buddy. And this is what's going to happen if you keep it up. Continue to back up here, trying to drop spot if possible. Not going to happen with the battleship out there. Trying to get safe, though, because if the Minotaur is laying into us, we're in trouble. All right, so other than that, gun-wise, decent range, but not the longest. I don't really spec for range. Good reload, 24.6 seconds on this build. Low damage, though. That's the balancing factor. All the other battleships that we've gotten so far in the 14,000 damage. Yamato, 16,000 and change for a Citadel shot. This one, 11,305. So quite a bit lower damage, but that's balanced with the reload. That's the idea there. Decent turret traverse and other characteristics. So that's the story with the guns. HP, just shy of being the worst. Okay, Conqueror's got 100 less health than this at 74,600. Same thing here, except for 700, the last 3 digits. What's the difference, though? Conqueror super heals. All right, so in practice, the Conqueror has much more health than the Bourgogne. So you got to keep that in mind. Vulnerable. If we're getting shot from a lot of guys, you can go down pretty quickly. So you do have to be careful of that and utilize cover and use your mobility. All right, so Yamato on the enemy team, he's effectively pinning the team here. Now we've conceded all the bases. This is a legendary tier game, so we've conceded the bases. Uh, and then all of our team is over here. Okay, now we're contesting this base. We need to capture it very quickly. I was hoping to get across the gap there to the other island and then attack those cruisers because we do need to clear this cap off and capture it and then move in because we're already down 250 points and the situation is increasingly dire as time goes on. So the worse the score gets, the more aggressively and less focused on our own survival we're going to have to be, but we haven't quite hit a critical mass for that yet. But time is of the essence. If we've dedicated this percentage of our team's resources over here in terms of ships, we need to capitalize on that rapidly. Okay, we cannot tie up all this resources and then just sit here. All right, so we're trying to get these crossfires. You'll note we're always trying to look for these broadsides. If possible, like I could switch to HE and fire at that Yamato that's angled. Low damage. We're not going to do a lot there. Looking for better shots. Buffalo, trying to back up once again to make sure we're safe. We want as few of those big booming guns to be able to hit us in the sides as possible. Tell him, get on the horn, tell him to stop scraping my ship. Hoping this Buffalo creeps forward here. All right, now we do have the guns loaded. You can check on the diagram as we get the third turret into play. The firing angle is pretty generous firing angles on here. The third turret should activate here. That's an angle you can get penned if you're not careful, but lining up the shot on the Buffalo, he disappears there. I elected to take the shot. Should have probably waited till it reappeared because he was going to reappear. But I did want to dev strike him before he could do a lot of damage. Got about 40% of his health. Not a bad shot. We do use the reload booster, which we do have here, and that will finish him off. Boom! Down he goes there with a Higon dev strike. Note the secondaries were going off as well. I would have never spec'd a French battleship for a secondary build. Full disclosure. But sometimes you guys recommend it to me. Now, the Bourgogne and the Republic have functional secondaries that are arrayed along the side. So that I could see. I think the range, if you really went all into it, would be about 7-9, something like that. Yeah, difficult at the legendary tier, but not impossible to get that into range. Another shot. Is it a warning shot? Yes. All right, we're going to hang on now. Stop shooting, Minotaur. But, you know, secondary is something to consider, but you will see them go off here. Now, a consideration to talk about, when that guy's in the smoke there, if I don't shoot, we would have dropped spot by now, and he would not be able to shoot us, right? We do drop spot here. If I do not shoot, well, now I'll be spotted by that guy on the right, who we're about to kill. But if I don't fire those guns, the guy in the smoke will not be spotting me, okay? So that's the smoke fire penalty. Battleships, when we fire our guns, our detectability becomes basically what it would be whether or not there was a smoke in play. It's just a minor boost at that point in time. So keep that in mind. I see a lot of players, you know, you need to be aware of what's going on with the spotting, because if nobody's spotting us, he's not hosing us down right here. Resetting us, importantly, and damaging the ship. But we've gotten relatively close here. We fired a couple test salvos here, and now we're going to go ahead and try one more time. He does get us with a torp. Minotaur does have a long-range torpedo. You got to keep that in mind. It cost us there, but we got a pretty good return fire there. And I always say this when we do this. Usually, if I'm on the receiving end of that, you need to strongly consider stopping shooting as soon as someone demonstrates that they can hit you in the smoke. It's not an easy shot that Joe Potato would necessarily be able to do on the regular, but you know, you need to say, can I either get out of there, or can I kill the guy by firing on him before he can fire again, or whatever. You need to evaluate the situation a little bit more carefully. Don't just automatically keep firing, because you know, we will continue to fire on the guy here. He's actually going to become spotted here. I believe the smoke runs out here, and he's going to make a decent play. He's going to actually try to cozy up to the dying or the dead body, which isn't bad. The dead body can potentially block some of those shots, but not enough. Okay, we give him a decent whack there, and we're starting to get a little bit of revenge. The guy's been pummeling us the whole game, focused on us, and you know, I don't take kindly to that around these parts. We're going to go ahead and keep pummeling him, but we need to begin thinking about what's going on here now. Luckily for us, their Kaba, or whatever that destroyer is, he's down south attacking a literal backline bet. He's actually on the back line along with a cruiser. And then that Minotaur and then these two other ships are kind of arrayed north of B. So they're two distinct groups here that's red doing. That's the only reason we have an opening here. I'm desperately trying to get on B. We cannot win on score here. You need to understand that at this point in time, we cannot win. Our team already screwed that up. They basically did that as soon as the game started. But at this point in time, we need to get on B to stop the bleeding, because now we're saying to ourselves, they're getting pretty close to 1,000 points. That's when the game ends. Don't want to see it end here because we're having a lot of fun and getting some damage. So need to get on B. If we can capture it, fine. Then it permanently will be guaranteed to not be generating points. But again, it's not necessarily, it doesn't matter if we control it or not. We just need to stop them from earning the points as quickly as possible while we kill these guys. But the only way we can win this game is by killing everyone. Going to be difficult here. We're down below 10,000 health. We're doing a lot of return damage the other way. And looks like the Yamato does go down with the Wusta, who's he's having a pretty good game here. You know, I think the team, aside from positioning the whole team to the west, I think the remainder of the sequence is played pretty well until the very end, in which case we stop really doing what we need to do to win. Minotaur starts firing here. We need to increase the distance from him and maneuver. We cannot take these shots. If he hits us 2-3 times, we will sink from that thing. So even though it's a difficult shot for him, it's probably about a 8 to 10 second time to target shot. We don't want to be taking a lot of shots. And by the way, we're going to line up a shot on him. I'd love to dev strike this guy. Minotaurs are among the best ships in the game to shoot at and very dangerous. You got to shoot at the Minotaurs. It's always disappointing when these guys are alive with a lot of health this late in the game. The first one got smoked up by his destroyer, and then he used his own smoke. He was alive for quite a while. But you got to shoot these things. All these nasty cruisers, the battleships, stop shooting the battleships, shoot the deadly cruisers. All right, so we're about to squirt off the base here. Initially, I was kind of like, that's a problem, but I'm realizing, okay, we got to kill. That's the only way we got a chance to do this. So I'm going to squirt through here. I'm hoping I think it's a Kronstadt to my right, pressures him from that direction, and I'm going to try and pincer around the other side of the island, hopefully get a wicked shot on the side. Then we need to turn hard into the Minotaur, and then hope to God that their destroyer will sail right into us. Okay, so that's the game plan. It's a long shot game plan. Do not ever bet the mortgage in a situation like this, because you're going to lose 99% of the time. 95 to 99. That is a horrible odds, and you can't concede the bases. All right, so I began to swing the guns there, assuming he was dead. Did not get a single Citadel shot. We got 6 overpens and 2 regular hits, it looks like. So he survives, and now he's pummeling us right back. All right, so I'm hoping the dude to the south will chime in with the guns, take him out. I don't think the Kronstadt on our team could kill an angled Kronstadt on their team in one hit, so we need to do some damage as well. Hopefully get lucky, because he will kill us here for sure. And if not, the Minotaur is probably already shooting shells into the air. We don't have any way to verify that. We can't be checking that, obviously, with what's going on, but you have to kind of assume that. So yeah, it was a long shot game here. We did wind up with 232, which is pretty high damage. But in this point in time, the game is actually winnable. Our Kronstadt needs to continue to pursue the one to the north and sink him, which is quite doable. He turns back into the base. Our Wusta, I think it's a Worcester on the bottom. It's a Cleveland or Worcester. He does kill the Minotaur there. Now, like I said, he was having a pretty good game. I think he was, from what I saw watching this replay. He also needs to go south. If he's got a radar, he's got to activate that and hope to find the destroyer. The destroyer winds up being AFK. He gets 2 kills. He was playing the game, but he disconnected. So I think there's a pretty good chance he's actually where he's located on the map. Now, Wusta has no way to know that. And when I'm watching this right now, I'm like, destroyer's probably going to A would be my play if I'm the destroyer. So that's, I think, where he should either go to A or go south. But he's actually turning it into the cap, I think. So I don't know. These guys, it would be tough to close this out, but they're not doing what we need to do there. But other than that, I thought it was a pretty well played game. Didn't really know who was going to win until the very end. And it highlighted what the Bourgogne can do if we're finding the crossfire shots. If we're shooting angled ships, you're going to see low damage games. So I think from that perspective, the backline Betty type battleship players probably might struggle with this one. But if you're using the battleship actively, moving it around, flanking, like the Republic, very dangerous. Okay, so I think the skilled battleship players will really enjoy this one. Newer battleship players maybe stick to some of the other ones until you get some more experience. That's going to do it for me, guys. Hope you did enjoy it. If you did, please hit the thumbs up. New to the channel, consider subscribing. Lots of World of Warships coming all the time. Questions, comments, leave below. Love to hear from you, and we'll see y'all later. Peace.